Welcome to the Political Power Hour with your host, former congressional candidate, retired federal agent, and three-time author, Michael Vilardi, highlighting today's political hot topics with the most interesting political candidates in the 2022 election. The most hard-hitting political commentary on the air today. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to today's show. Today is Labor Day, everybody. Welcome to the show. We had a great show last week. We had Ed Lynch here. And we were talking about the congressional race. Dan Francis won a very close race against Deb Ademi. Certainly glad that he won that race. And hopefully we're going to push him over the line and he's going to beat Lois Frankel. And we're going to have Carrie Lawlor on the show later to tell us how about her race and her experience and her willingness to get behind him because he's the right guy to win that seat. And that's what we have to have. But today we have another great show for you. I have Bill Reicherter with me. Bill, welcome to the Political Power Hour.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And Bill's going to tell us about his race. He's running for state senate. And tell us about you, your race, and what you're doing.
All right. So, again, my name is Bill Reicherter. I'm running for state senate, District 30. To give you an idea what District 30 is, it's Glades Road South all the way to Dixie Highway. And then it goes into Deerfield, a little bit in Pompano through Dixie Highway. And back over to Parkland, Coral Springs, Coconut Creek, and Margate. And Glades Road actually goes all the way to the Everglades. So the reason why I'm running is I've been in business 26 years here. I grew up in the Coral Springs area, went to Taravella High School. From there I got a football scholarship, played football in college. Came home, opened up a business, a sign business. And it was really tough, right? I opened up a business without having any business experience.
There you go. All right.
So about 20-something years later, become one of the largest companies in the country. And through that, I've employed thousands of people across the country, from our regular employees to subcontractors to keeping vendors, buying stuff from vendors. So we've affected and touched a lot of people.
What exactly was your business? What did you do?
It's a sign business, but we did a lot of architectural type metals too. So
cool. That's
we did national accounts. So you see, like at the time we were doing Bole, right? You see those signs nationally.
Yes. Okay. Right.
A lot of like Club Pilates, places like that. We did a lot of national accounts, and then we also did architectural metals on buildings for architects.
Nice.
So it's a very good business, a construction business, right?
Okay. Excellent.
So through that, you meet a lot of people, right? And the only way to get business going and be successful in business is you got to be in the community.
Right. Of course.
You can't expect the community to take care of you if you're not in the community.
Makes
so
sense.
I've got involved in a lot of nonprofits, nonprofit boards, sat on boards, did a lot of volunteering time. A lot of stuff that I did was with family and children. And now I'm at this point in my life, successful business, and it's time to give back. Right now that I'm at the point where I'm looking at the world, I look at it a lot different than I did growing up.
Of course.
Because now I'm really seeing the politics. It really affects me.
Right, exactly.
Right? The older you get, the more you see and learn, and it affects you. And I think today's world is way different than a world 10, 20 years ago, right?
Night and day.
The political climate.
Night and day.
So, in my estimation, we have plenty of lawyers that are out there that are making bills with all these highfalutin schools, and you see where the country is now.
Right.
Right. So we need people in there that are business people, that are in the community, that are affected by the community, and that have worked in the community to make the community a better place. Right. And I feel a business person is much more qualified in certain instances. Not that.
No, I get it. I get it. Trump showed us that, right?
Right. Because we know how to make decisions. We work on deadlines. Right. And we work to make sure there's payroll there, there's insurance there for our families. We put families through college.
Exactly.
We have a whole different mentality.
Right. You're talking about getting results. You're results oriented. You got to get the results for the people, and that's what's important.
Right.
I agree.
So to me, I want to give back to. Now it's my time to give back to the community. The community that supported me all these years, and that's my district.
Right.
And then, we did national work, but my main district that I'm actually running in, I support it through community, and I want to support that back.
Right. So you have a lot of a lot of people. You have a lot of support.
A lot of support.
All right. So tell us a couple of things.
Sure.
First, tell us the position you're running for and why you picked that position.
I'm running for state senate. There really was no particular reason for the state Senate. 'Cause
Okay.
I was going back and forth between House and Senate.
Got it.
But when I looked at my opposition,
Okay.
and I seen her voting rights, not rights, her voting record, and I seen what she was accomplishing, I felt that was a seat that I needed to go after.
And how long has she been in that position?
This will be her first term.
Okay. And is it a 2-year term, a 4-year term, or a
4-year
6-year?
term.
4-year term. Okay. And do you want to expand about some of those some of those things, some of her voting record, or no?
I'll be honest with you. I will say it like this because I'm not into
Right.
bashing my competition.
Okay.
But she's voted basically against DeSantis on almost everything that he's put out there.
Okay.
She has a record, and this is an independent survey. This isn't,
Right. Okay.
But her Senate grade was a D.
Okay.
Okay.
No, who made that determination? Who was the ranking party?
I got a book that was handed to me, and they
Okay.
they took the page out and sent it to me and said, "Here's."
Okay.
So I don't know
here's
the
who-
actual
okay.
reference, but
Here's who you're running
it is
against.
there.
Okay. Right.
And she's being a business person, right? We don't
Right.
want to be shut down. Our economy has to work.
Absolutely.
So she is a mandate
Right.
type person.
Candidate, right.
She wants the mask. She's the triple vaccination.
right, exactly.
Everything that shuts our world down.
Right.
And we can't have that. We have to be
Absolutely
forward
not.
thinking, moving forward, keeping our businesses open, our families alive, and we need somebody in there that's going to be,
So safe to say she's a Joe Biden supporter.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go through the list of the issues you're running on.
Yep.
Rising prices and inflation. Well, we know that since Joe Biden became president, he's more than doubled the price of gasoline,
Right.
which has caused unbelievable inflation, not only in food prices, housing prices. Everything has gone up, and that means that you and I are not living as well as we did 2 years ago.
Right.
What are you going to do to combat that?
Well, that one there is mostly a federal issue, but when you look at the combination of the two, I'm going to give you a quick example of taxes, right?
Okay.
Broward County School Board recently took a vacation called a work trip
Okay.
to Naples, Florida, stayed at the Ritz-Carlton for $100,000 out of taxpayer dollars, okay? Now, they can't afford to pay our teachers raises,
Right.
right? They can't afford to put school safety measures in, but they can certainly afford to take a $100,000 trip and go enjoy themselves while they are, quote, working.
Right.
Right.
Well, that is the most important thing.
Right, it is, absolutely, right?
Right.
So now, on the ballot, we see raising taxes,
Right.
right, for the school board.
Well, that's because hotel prices have gone up
Hotel, yeah,
tremendously.
because of inflation.
Exactly.
Right? So there's your
Right.
inflation.
There you go.
But, first of all, government spending has to be looked at. Where
It
are we
does.
putting our money? There's so many programs out there that are not touching you and me.
Right.
They don't come down to the mainstream people.
Right.
All right, so the school board is perfect. Now, again, with the school board,
Right.
I don't want to pick on them, but this is just
No, I
in
get
my
it.
head right now. I had a letter sent to me on Facebook about the school board not using the promise funds properly, which is for our school safety.
Okay.
All right, they're diverting it. They're using it for different things, and now the Department of Education is coming down on them.
Right.
Again, all this money coming in, not being used right, we got to raise taxes because we can't afford things.
Right.
So, when I'm elected senator, very, very heavily, I'm going to be focused on what our money is being spent on, what programs are in place, and the things that aren't working,
Right. You're going to get rid of
we're
it.
going to get rid of them, or we're going to
Makes
fight
sense.
to get rid of them.
Right.
So, in the overall scheme, if you look at cutting down big government spending, you're going to start reducing taxes, and you can start reducing some of these
Right.
inflation and other things. But the main inflation is definitely more of a federal issue. But there's things we can do in the state to start cutting down.
Well, I mean, and Florida has a surplus, one of the few states that is not in a deficit, is not in debt.
Our treasurer did a
Actually,
great job.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been run by Republicans for, the last 20 or so years, I guess. And
Thank God. Imagine if we weren't.
we'd be New York.
Yeah, or California with our electric cars that we can't charge.
Exactly. It's too ridiculous. So let's go to the next issue that's on your card. Community and personal safety.
Yeah. So, few things on that. This morning, and this is something I'm going to do when I'm elected into office, because I'm a very big believer in community, right?
Okay.
And being seen in the community and contributing. So personal safety, we'll start there. I have a friend that's a retired firefighter. His name is Luis Garcia,
Okay.
and he puts on Narcan seminars.
Okay.
Sorry, so you know what Narcan is, right?
Yeah,
So for those
that's
that don't know what Narcan is, it's a nose spray that if you overdose on an opioid, or most likely fentanyl from what's going on in our country right now, you could spray the nose spray in the person and it will revive them for up to 90 minutes to get them to a hospital, okay? So we did this whole seminar. We had a big turnout from the community,
Okay.
and I asked a simple question. How many people know about this?
Right.
The answer is not many.
Right.
We have a huge border problem with fentanyl coming in from, all over the place, right?
Right, we
Mexico
do.
and
Right.
other countries. We talk about it on the news constantly. We talk about the deaths. We talk about all of the statistics and the problems. We
Right.
don't talk about the solutions,
Right. Exactly.
right? So we need to have solutions.
We do.
So, and this is just one of the personal safety things, but that class today, I learned a few things. Number one, schools don't have those in them.
Okay.
We know we have a problem with kids
We do.
taking drugs, right? We have drug dealers trying to sell the drugs to the kids. We know now they're making fentanyl look like candy.
Right.
So the kids are more enticed to try it. Or you're at a party one night, somebody slips you something,
You toast.
right? And the kids aren't educated on how they could save somebody.
Right.
The school, if it happens in school, the school doesn't want to deal with it because they don't want to admit there's a problem out there.
Right.
These are things that should be carried on in our schools and should be
Right.
fought for, right?
Right.
So that's one of the things with personal safety. You also got school safety. If you look at some of the measures that are going on right now with schools, if you asked a bunch of people, you got them together and said, okay, the summer just got completed, kids are back to school, what has your school done for school safety?
Okay.
What happened in your child's school that's going to make it a safer place? I don't know if anybody even knows the answer to that because it's never communicated.
Right.
Right. But one thing I can tell you, putting cameras and other things inside the school are great when something happens in the school.
Right.
If we don't secure the borders of that school, by the time somebody gets into that school with one of those AR-15s, it don't matter how many cameras you have or what buttons you're pushing, there's going to be a casualty problem there.
It's interesting you said that. I was a 9/11 responder when I was a federal agent.
Right.
After 9/11, we stopped every terrorist threat. I was on the Joint Terrorism Task Force with the FBI for a little while, a couple of months. It's mind-blowing to me that the FBI never put together a school shooting task force to stop school shooting. And the reason I say that is simple. Most of these kids, before they actually go to the school and shoot it up, post it on Facebook.
Yeah. They put a whole.
They tell you what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Now, if we had a task force set up, they could catch that and immediately dispatch agents from the local office out there, notify local authorities, and stop it before it ever happens.
I agree.
But instead, they're more interested in using search warrants to go after our president, looking for useless papers that on a fishing expedition.
Right.
I've never seen, and I was in law enforcement for 22 years. I've never seen, I don't know how to put this correctly, but the goals of the FBI are so twisted and perverted that instead of stopping school shooters,
Right.
they're focused on building a case against a former president.
Well, we know why, right? Because they're afraid once he runs, he screws up
He's
all
going to
their
win.
plans.
Right, he's going to win,
Right.
exactly. But to make it so obvious and to be so blatantly corrupt about it
Yeah.
is very troublesome.
It is very troublesome. They put their efforts in the wrong spot.
That's right, because definitely we could stop almost every school shooting if we just put some resources into it on the federal level,
Right.
and then educate the local PDs, but they don't do it.
No, and then you got
don't do it.
community safety, right? I
Right.
was in a meeting one time, a little forum, meet the candidate type forum,
Okay,
and I was there with I think I was the only Republican actually in the forum.
there you go.
So some of the representatives were talking about, well, we need to defund the police and send social workers out on all these missions.
Right, okay.
So there was a former police
Right.
officer in the
Right.
crowd.
Okay.
The guy stands up and says, well, who's going to protect the social worker?
Right, right,
When they're in the middle of a bad situation.
right.
Right? So, I mean, we have to get past all this rhetoric. We got to fund our police. Now, if you want to put resources to help the police, we do need to have mental health resources for the police because they do see a lot of terrible things. They witness things that may get in their mind, trigger some things that go back home, right? And it disrupts their home, their family life. They get divorced or suicide rates. So, mental health is something that's important, but you can't defund people that are protecting us because as soon as there's a problem, right, the White House, when we had the insurrection, who are they calling? Backup.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't even know if you can call that an answer in all honesty, but I mean, Biden is now trying to run on funding the police because they realize how stupid defunding the police truly is.
Well, sure. And look, he wants to finish the wall that Donald Trump started that he said was no good.
Excuse me. Yeah, that should have been done as soon as he got in office. But yeah, obviously, we're seeing it. It's kind of crazy. All right, so that's your community and personal safety. And next on your agenda, creating and supporting business and job growth.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
This is near and dear to me.
Okay.
Because
You're
being
a
a
businessman.
contractor. Yep, and being a contractor. Let me tell you what goes on in the field now.
Okay.
We can't find tradesmen anymore.
Okay.
Kids are coming out of high school. They're told if you don't get a college degree,
Right.
you're not going to have a career, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
Trades are literally falling apart.
Right.
Okay. Now, when I was in high school, sure, when you were in high school, right, we had shop class.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Home economics.
Right.
Right.
Very important.
We had marine mechanics. We had auto
Right.
mechanics. We had kids that actually left school
Right.
at lunchtime to go work in a trade.
Right.
Okay? Or go to a trade school. It was a conjunction, one of the two. We don't teach this anymore.
No.
Right. So our kids are growing up, and we're losing our trades. If we lose our trades, we lose the backbone of America.
Yeah. No. You're right. I mean, and we're teaching critical race theory instead.
Right.
And who needs to know about that? Or there's 12 genders, or I don't know how many genders there
12
are.
genders,
I mean,
the teaching about, you may be a boy today if you feel like it. If you feel like being a girl, you can be a girl
Right,
today.
exactly.
And it's just, they're focused on the wrong things. And then we have all these people that got smart and got out of the blue states and moved to Florida.
Right.
High-paying jobs,
Right.
right? The housing market went crazy,
It did.
okay? But now where are these people going to work to afford these things?
Right.
So we need to create jobs and entice larger companies to come up with higher paying jobs to fill some of these needs.
Right. Exactly.
So, jobs, job growth, and trades are extremely important to this economy,
Yep.
right? So we have to start focusing some of our time and effort on that as well.
No, that's very important. That's very important. How about protecting our environment?
Yeah, I have one key issue with the environment. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on, like you got some ridiculous laws with the EPA and some of these other things, but the one thing that bothers me a lot is I see continuous growth out into the Everglades.
Okay.
Which is our natural water system.
Right, of
We
course.
can't mess up that ecosystem.
Right.
So then we have people like Big Sugar dumping all their toxins into the Everglades and stuff like that.
Right. Well, let me stop you there. What would you be able to do as a state senator to stop that?
Well, I'd have to get with people that are more experienced in how that would all stop. 'Cause,
Okay.
Obviously, I haven't been in a position yet. I haven't seen all the
Right.
things that
Okay.
they talk about and do. But I would definitely form alliances with people as a state senator in government that would be able to handle these things.
Okay.
And work in conjunction with them to write legislation. For sure.
Okay.
It's all about resources. You got to use your resources when you're elected official. To me, it's more important to make friends on either side. Right?
Of course.
You don't want to be fighting sides. You want to be getting things accomplished.
No, that is absolutely true. You have to have issues that you go in there with to attack and to get done.
Right.
Now, your last thing on your agenda is supports mental health resources. What does that mean, mental health resources?
All right. So I'll give you a quick story and why that's on there. That's another near and dear subject.
Okay.
So my daughter is currently in Pepperdine right now. She's going to school for psychology.
Okay.
Growing up, she was a cheerleader. Now, I don't know if you know much about the cheerleading world, but she started at 6 years old, and it's all about you. And she was a very thin girl. You can see all her stomach muscles, right? It's all about you're too heavy. It's all about you're not good
Right.
enough. And they beat these kids up mentally, right?
Right.
So as she got older, this stuck in her head. And she's an extremely brilliant girl, so she has social skills, social issue skills with friends. Because she loves to read. She had a blog radio
Right.
show at 12. She had published books at the same time. And so she's very high intellect. So anyway, she was bullied a lot. Okay.
It's a problem.
Right. It's a big problem. And she had nobody to talk to because I grew up an Italian.
Right,
Old school
right,
Italian.
right.
And when I said something to my father,
That's
he said,
like
hey,
right.
get over it, you know.
Right.
So I kind of raised my kids the same way.
It's a
'cause
different generation.
different
right.
generation. But these kids today are a little bit softer, right? And
Oh,
they
lots
need more
softer.
coddling.
Absolutely, yeah. No
So-
question about it.
Fast forward,
Yeah.
me and her mother split up,
Okay.
and she didn't take that well. Then she became best friends with her grandfather.
Okay. On your side
my,
or?
my ex-wife's side.
Okay, got it.
He's
Okay.
another guy from Italy, great guy.
Right. Okay.
So they got to the point where they were FaceTiming every day when she was in Gainesville at college.
Right.
And he would do homework with her, just kept her on the phone all the time,
Right.
letting her talk. He goes to a wedding for his nephew in North Carolina in the town that is like Mayberry. Nothing
Okay.
happening.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. After the
It's
wedding,
my kind of town.
yeah,
Okay.
after the wedding, he gets out, goes in the car with his wife, takes off down the road. He might have had a drink or two too many. I don't know. I wasn't there. But there was nobody on the road. All of a sudden, a semi out of nowhere comes and hits that car and kills him instantly. She
Wow.
lost her grandfather in a second. So I had to drive to Gainesville,
Wow.
break the news to her, bring her home.
Wow.
So she
Wow.
couldn't handle that because, you know, when you have mental issues, it's hard you start
course.
regressing, right? Then a couple months later, maybe even 6 months later or so, her uncle, who's on my ex-wife's side,
Right.
he's another good business guy. You know, he's doing very well.
Right.
He started taking her in a little bit and talking to her, and they became good friends, right? And he was always at the house, calling her, doing things.
Right.
He commits suicide
Oh my
with
God.
a gun in the house while she was home.
What?
So she actually went
Wow.
so far backwards mentally that I had her Baker acted once.
Wow.
Now you're talking about a straight A student that Gainesville was the school was taking her to donor events to show off this student, right?
Wow.
A leader in that school. She quit school for 6 months, had her through the Baker Act. She got out of that, and while she was there, she learned that, you know, there's no
Wow.
help, right? You go through a couple classes, whatever, they keep
Right.
you kind of isolated. They discharge you, and you're back out in the real world. Now all of a sudden you're in worse shape. So while she was there, she created she had a nonprofit she was working on. It's called InspireMyGeneration.org.
Okay.
But it's all about suicide prevention and mental health.
Okay.
So this became a real life experience to her
Right.
to help her foundation get really going. So this is kind of like it needed to happen to bring her to
Right.
this. But so now what she did was she started hand drawing cards and messages to people in mental institutions and send a few of them to different hospitals. And all of a sudden hospitals started requesting them by the hundreds.
Really?
Right. So then she started figuring out that she couldn't do all these and started putting stuff on Facebook, Instagram that she does these. And now she's got a program, people all over the world, I'm talking about worldwide,
Wow.
send her cards to send to mental hospitals to help people.
Wow. That's
So,
very nice.
Right. And then she has a blog show that's going great now. She brings all kinds of therapists on to help people. So what I've realized in dealing with her is mental health is a real issue. Now, growing
is,
up, I would have
right.
said, you know,
No,
I'm
no.
not so sure.
Right. Absolutely.
But now that I've lived through it with my daughter, and I still go through it with her all the time, we have to always have talks, and
Well,
I find there's not enough resources, dollar resources,
Right.
going to the right organizations to help
Okay.
people. And I want to make sure that the things that I've seen my daughter live through, right, and when you get out of being in a mental institution and they discharge you, there's no follow-up because there's no money.
right.
Right? There's got to be plans for people. We can't
Right.
just put them back into society and say, okay, because the suicide rate is like, I don't know what the statistic is, but it's way higher after you leave this facility than it is before you got there.
Right. Nobody feels like they care.
Right. So
Wow, that's tragic.
There's definitely legislation that needs to be pushed. And I know some money now has been allocated because NAMI has gotten a hold of me through my daughter.
Okay.
And you know they're starting to see some traction, but it needs to be taken a lot more serious than some of the things that we put our effort towards in Tallahassee that are just CRT and shutting our schools
Right.
down,
No.
mandating
Of
things.
course.
And
Of course.
so yeah, so mental health, and
Well, that explains that. That's,
yeah, it's it may
and
not be.
No. Listen, I agree with you. My brother committed suicide over money. My sister with my father was going to give him money, and she stole it basically, and
Right.
he took his life. And it's tragic
It is tragic.
because he would have been 50 on the 4th. 3 days from now, and he never had the chance to make it. He's been dead 10 years, over 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, it's tragic. Very tragic. All right, we have 2 minutes left in this show. In the last 2 minutes, what would you like? How can people get in touch with you? How can they support you? What do you need? You need volunteers. You need money. What do you need? What do you need to win this race, Bill?
So, running the campaign is sort of like running a nonprofit.
Yeah.
You're always begging for money.
You are.
Right?
That's true.
So to get a hold of me, I give everybody my cell phone. I don't use an office number that I can, put you through to an operator and I'll get back to you. You call me, I answer the phone. My phone number is 954-464-7999. My website is billreicherter.com. So that's BILLREICHERTER.com. And the reason why I think it's important to vote for me is because if you want somebody that's going to be in your community, it's going to hold town halls, it's going to ask you, what do you think about what we're doing in Tallahassee right now? Is there anything that you don't like?
Right. You want the people's opinion on what they want to see, and I think that's great.
It's not about agenda, right? It's about what's good for you. Because if we're not taking care of you and our constituents, what do I have a job for?
Well, let me ask you a question. What's the demographic makeup of your district?
Heavy blue.
Okay, so you're in a heavily Democratic district.
Heavily Democratic district.
And what's it, a D19, a D20, a D8?
Yeah.
All right, so that's that could be a winnable seat.
It's a winnable seat.
I mean, you have to knock on a lot of doors and convert a lot of people, but now's the time to do it.
It is.
I mean, I know so many Democrats who are seeing the result of putting the wrong guy in the presidency.
Right.
I mean, ever since he got there, it's been nothing short of a disaster, whether it be pulling out of Afghanistan and leaving $300 billion worth of equipment behind, or gas going to $5, meat almost, going up 30%. Housing prices in Palm Beach County, rental prices went up 42% a year. 42% a year.
And did your salaries go up? I don't think so.
Not like that, no. No. I'm actually getting forced out. I'm moving to Ocala because I can no longer afford the rent.
Right.
So I'm buying a house there, and I'm going to relocate because we have a president who has taken prices to the next level. I mean, inflation, he's making Carter look good.
Yeah.
At least Carter can go down to the grave knowing he won't be the worst president in American history. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, I think maybe that was a little blessing for him. But it's absolutely crazy and ludicrous that in 2 short years we could see such devastation. I mean, you could not have planned this better.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to destroy America, what would you do? You'd increase inflation, make us go from energy independent to energy dependent again, open up the border, right? Let crime out of control, get rid of all, go into more debt. We're giving billions of dollars to all over the world, like never before. We joined the Paris Accord at $1 trillion, something ridiculous. For what? For what? Yeah. I mean, let's return that money to the taxpayer.
That's right.
That's the only thing that makes sense. It should be our money, and they should not be using it for whatever they think is a good idea. And that's been a problem. We're $30 trillion in debt, and that's ridiculous. Well, Bill, we certainly hope you win.
Thank you.
You're a great guy, and I thank you for coming on the Political Power Hour.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we'll be back with Carrie Lawlor after the break. Thank you very much.
If your family is suffering from inflation and high costs caused by Lois Frankel's reckless policies, Republican Dan Franzese is clearly your best choice for Congress. Dan is a successful businessman who understands finance and economics. He's not a politician. Dan grew up blue collar and knows how tough inflation is on working families. Dan Franzese will go to Washington and fight the liberals who are killing us with inflation. Dan Franzese for Congress.
I'm Dan Franzese, and I approve this message.
Text alert! Text alert!
I was receiving letter after letter from the IRS.
I got Mike Vilardi on the phone, and I said, Mike, I got a problem.
He took the pressure off my shoulders.
He just made me feel like I had Superman on my side.
Trust me, he's the man to go to.
IRS problems? I'm Mike Vilardi, enrolled agent. I can help. My company, Winning Tax Solutions, has always gotten our clients the best possible results. Visit us at winningtaxsolutions.com or call us today.
I grew up in a home where principles and values were very strong. we had the opportunity to gather 1.5 million people to stand up and be the voice for our children. As an American, I will be your new voice, and I will stand up for the integrity of our children. This November 8th, vote for me, Dorcas Hernandez, running for State Representative District 92.
You've been watching the Political Power Hour with Mike Vilardi. For more information, email us at mikevilardi@gmail.com. That's Vilardi with one L. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm back here with Carrie Lawlor. Carrie, welcome to the Political Power Hour.
Mike.
It's great to have you. You were a congressional candidate. Mm-hmm. Tell us about yourself, about where you ran the race, why you did it.
Okay, where do you want me to start? Which
Start
one?
with you. Start with
Okay,
you.
me. I am a wife, a mother, a patriot. I'm a person who was always taught that if you don't like how something's done, roll up your sleeves and do it yourself, which leads me to why I ran.
Okay.
Lois Frankel's a disaster.
She is.
I'm sorry.
Now, are you just saying that because she spends more money than any other congressperson other than one or two others? Or
Not even that. You can go back in her record. She was mayor of West Palm Beach during the whole time that Epstein had his trafficking going on. And either she turned a blind eye or was complicit. I don't know. None of us do. Nobody's ever really looked into that. But I don't trust her representing us in Congress.
My understanding is she's not even showing up there too much.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah. So what we really need in Congress, and I think that our beloved President Joe Biden has just shown us, is we need more Republicans.
We need more free thinkers, period. They started, originally it was the Republican Democrats versus the Federalists.
Right.
Then the Republicans went over and took over the Federalist Party, so it was Republicans versus Democrats. It was a uniparty. It still essentially is. What we need is people who are going to go there and fight to retain our liberty, retain our freedom. These were freedoms that were given to us by God and were enshrined by the Constitution so that we would not lose them.
Right.
And right now, our Constitution is suffering death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We've seen that in a lot of circles, certainly. So tell us about your race, why you ran, and I totally understand. I ran against Lois Frankel too, or I ran in the primary in 2020, as you know, to unseat her because I do believe she is terrible. She hasn't really done much for the constituency here.
No, she doesn't listen to what we the people are actually saying, and in most cases we the people just want to be left alone. In most cases everybody's shouting out and talking about climate change, but the only climate change they're looking for is reducing human being population. They're looking to get rid of our carbon footprint.
Exactly.
And
okay. So, let's talk about Lois Frankel a little bit more. She has been in office for 10 years.
More than that.
She is in a democratically run or Democratic blue seat, right? Where Democrats out-register Republicans by 20 percentage points. How do you beat somebody like that?
You have to start talking to people as if they're people, not as if they're just Democrats or Republicans. And I think most of us have felt the pain, whether it was at the gas pump or at the grocery stores.
Right.
We've been feeling the pain of the policies.
Right.
And we need to show that there's a distinction and that whomever is going to get us out of this has to be thinking with common sense.
Right. So let's get back to that. So you just had a contested primary where Dan Francis beat Deborah Ademi. And she didn't take it too well.
Right.
We need people to get behind Dan, and I know you're one of them.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind Dan.
Yes.
I think Dan has the common sense that we need. I think Dan has the experience that's necessary. We may not see 100% eye to eye on things, but I trust Dan.
Right.
And I get behind him. I cannot say the same thing for the other person.
Right.
But Dan, I can get behind.
Right, exactly.
You know, Dan loves America.
Right, he does.
Dan loves his country, and Dan will do what's necessary to save us.
Yeah. No, he's smart. He's a proven businessman, and he has the skills to, I think, be a great congressperson for us. You know, on the right side of the ledger, and that's what we need. We need lower taxes. We need somebody that's going to go in there and propose a budget, a balanced budget.
We need somebody
term
who's
limits.
going to go and say, okay, enough already. We need to focus on our children
Right.
and making sure that they're getting an education that is conducive to being a good citizen, not going and saying that there's 72 different genders and however many sexual orientations. I think they said 10 now is what they're going with. And it shouldn't even be about that in school. Our Constitution
ridiculous.
doesn't go and outline that, you know, there's only 2 genders. No, it doesn't talk about it. So why are we talking about it?
I mean, it doesn't get more basic than God made them male and female.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, as Reagan said, freedom is only 1 generation away from extinction.
Yeah, and that's where we're at.
And we're about to lose it.
Yeah.
So this is extremely important, and I really urge everyone, go out, vote for Dan.
Yes.
We need to have some common sense brought back to the House. We need the House to be the people's house.
Yes.
We can't have it go on and just be for politicians. We can't have talking heads. We've got to have everyday people.
No, now's the time to flip the seat red.
Now's the time, yeah. Now's the
absolutely
time
is.
to get back to a place where we all can unify and we all can grow.
Right. I mean, I think Lois Frankel told somebody she's not going to stop being the congresswoman until she gets voted out of office. And I think now's the time. She's 72. She's had a great career. Time to say goodbye. Get out. Next, and we need Dan Francis. Hopefully, is the guy that does that. Replaces her, gets her out now, and that will help flip Congress.
Right.
We have
hopefully.
to turn 5 seats.
I know.
Okay, we have to turn 5 seats. Now, the good news is we just lost the seat in New York where Carolyn Maloney ran against, what's his name? The little Jewish guy from Manhattan. He's the head of one of the committees. But he won, but that means she's out after 30 years. Mm-hmm. And so that's one less Democrat. That's because of the redistricting. And in Florida, if we pick up 3 more Republican congressmen, that means we only have to flip 1 seat and it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very close margin.
It is. It is.
I mean,
and it's.
I mean, the Democrats are grasping at straws. They're using this Roe v. Wade thing. How does that do anything? Put money in your pocket? Does it? It's ridiculous.
I mean, they also won't talk about where they're going to get the money for the, tuition bailouts. I mean,
okay,
you're just making stuff up here.
That is total. I'm going to buy your votes.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
And we're going to take it from the other side.
Right,
exactly. Let's go and take those 87,000 IRS agents to go and, audit people who probably should not have been audited, and we'll just give them extra bills because they can't afford to hire an attorney on this.
It's mind-blowing. Who would think in America you're going to have your own personal IRS agent come into your door, knocking on it to make sure that your taxes are right every year?
I wish they would hire people to actually audit the machines for the elections. That's where we can use more auditing.
So are you saying that you think it's statistically impossible for Joe Biden to get 240,000 votes in a row in Pennsylvania?
Well,
mail-in ballots?
We're just saying. I mean, he has
just
performed more miracles and resurrected the dead. They came out in droves.
Yeah, well, don't you think that dead people should still have the right to vote? They were
well, if that's the case, let me go and dig up my Republican side family and have them vote.
No, dead people.
I mean, as long as we have machines, machines can get hacked.
Yes.
Okay, as long as you have machines, you have that susceptibility. In Georgia, Department of Homeland Security went and hacked the machines on several occasions.
Yeah.
To get them to buy into something?
I think you need voter ID.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone needs voter ID. And that's part of the problem. Those Civil War veterans don't have driver's licenses.
Well, the whole thing is now you can't even say driver's license for voter ID because guess what? They're now trying to have all the illegals coming in be able to get driver's licenses.
Right, of
So then
course.
what will separate them as a voter versus not?
Right, exactly. Well, that's the reason they're letting them in, because they vote Democratic.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
And, unfortunately, we're
Tammany
watching.
Hall.
We've seen more crime in the last 2 years. Inflation, high prices, crime. It's probably been two of the worst years I can remember since 1960.
Well, I only go back as far as 77,
Uh-huh.
and I don't remember all of that because I was kind of just an infant.
No, but you had Jimmy Carter as president.
I refuse to say that I was a Carter baby. My
Right,
mom can
okay.
tell you. I said, no, I'm a Reagan baby.
Right.
I refused on the Carter one. I wouldn't even let her put Carter clothes on me.
It was truly amazing how America, when Reagan became president, changed. I mean, inflation got stopped.
Mm-hmm.
You felt great to be an American again.
You were proud.
You were proud.
You were proud.
to be
It
an
was a sense
American.
of pride.
You
I
were.
mean, every generation of my family
Yes.
has fought for this country.
Yes.
In pretty much every single war since World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my uncle was in Korea, my cousins were in Afghanistan, Iraq. We've had family and everything, and everybody was always proud to go and fight.
Yeah, and nobody
now,
messed with America.
It's you know, what are we fighting for? They're literally trying to hand us over to the globalists. It's
Yes,
the climate
that's
change
true.
agenda, the globalist agenda. Everybody go on to electric cars, and then we'll tell you, oh, you can't use your electricity.
Well, it gets worse. The minerals, like cobalt,
Mm-hmm.
those rare minerals that are necessary, it causes more pollution
Right.
to mine them than it does to run your car for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make any sense
No.
other than to make America poor,
Yeah. And how come?
destroy our way of life, our standard of living. I mean, I literally got priced out of my house.
I know. Well, I'm putting mine up on the market. You want to
Yeah.
buy it?
I already bought a house because I probably couldn't afford your house.
Oh, but the whole thing is, it's you know that we're having to shut down doing stuff. But meanwhile, China is able to start firing up more coal.
Let me ask you a question.
How is that supposed to be okay?
Well, let me ask you this question. Have you read the book on Biden, the laptop?
no,
Biden
but I got
laptop?
to see the laptop.
Now, isn't it mind-blowing that Hunter's connected to all these Chinese organizations?
Oh yeah, China and also Ukraine. Why
Right.
do you think we're involved with that?
And we're selling our strategic oil reserve to China?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture?
And they're bidding on it, and they're getting it for a low cost.
Right.
But they say it's an open market. Yeah, but who are you not letting in?
It's mind-blowing. The corruption we're seeing, like never before.
The whole thing is, hopefully, people will see that it's so blatant that they'll wake up.
I hope so.
I mean, that's the only reason that I think that this can be happening like this, is so that people will wake up. Because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to regain our country because
Yes.
of how they've been so blatant with the corruption, with, you know, the backroom deals, the money laundering, et cetera, and how they're targeting our president. You know, they're targeting President Trump. They're raiding his home for documents that he had every right to declassify while he was president.
Yeah.
And they're making a big deal. And,
Well,
and
I
it's
think
like, if they're doing it to him, they will do it to us.
Right. Yeah, they're sending a message that they can, right? What do you think? I mean, obviously, I'm going to ask you this question, but what do you think of Merrick Garland as our Attorney General?
I think he needs to be removed from office.
Yeah, impeached.
He really needs to go. He needs to be impeached. He needs to be removed. We need congressmen in there who will go up against this administration without fear. And I think Dan can do that.
Yes. Yeah, no. We got to get Dan into Congress. There's no question about it. Dan Francis for Congress. Go to the website, donate, join the team, help him win this race, because if we don't turn Congress red, I don't think we have any hope for the country.
No,
If we don't win this election.
This election is the make or break for us.
Yeah.
We have no other chances. this is our only opportunity. We're at the precipice, and either we're going to rise up or we're going to fall off the cliff.
Now, have you seen the movie 2,000 Mules?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How are we going to stop? Zuckerberg gave $425 million to a nonprofit, wrote it off on his taxes. All the money was spent in districts where where Biden won. We have video of people going from the boxes, the ballot boxes, the stuffing in the ballot boxes, back to the headquarters.
But you know why it all happened? You know why it all got started?
Yeah, George Soros says Trump would not win.
The Citizens United case was why this all started.
Okay.
Citizens United basically gave a company the right to participate in the elections.
Okay.
So that's why they were able to go and fund all of these. So things like that need to be overturned. I think it was being looked at getting overturned. I don't know if it has been yet, but things like that need to be overturned.
If we don't have faith in our elections, we're Venezuela.
We pretty much are. I mean, at this point, we pretty much are. I mean, if you look at how many times has your computer gotten hacked or gotten a virus or anything like that? How many times have your bank accounts gotten hacked or data stolen?
Well, I did have
I
did have my identity stolen. Yes.
Right. If that can happen to you, what makes you think that these machines are any safer?
Right.
We're uploading the data, okay? It's getting tabulated, aggregated, whatever, and then being pushed back down. So what happens while it's up in the cloud? What happens when it's not physically on the servers? I don't think we've had a free or fair election since the hanging chads. Once they started getting in machines, we didn't stand a chance. The only reason why President Trump won is people came out in droves and overrode the algorithm.
Yeah, they never.
I mean, at least that's my personal opinion.
They never expected him to win.
Right.
So there was no need to set up a voter fraud organization like.
No, I'm sure that there were already set up. I mean, I just think that people came out in droves. Everyone loves him because he's real.
He is real, but not everyone loves him. He's either hated or loved. I mean, it's one or the other. There are people that hate him so much.
There's some, like my sister-in-law,
Yeah.
but there's other people who have turned the corner. I mean, he converted some Democrats.
Of course, because when you take gas from $1.69 to $5, that's a big conversion tool.
Oh yeah.
Okay, when you see rents rise 42% in Palm Beach County, like
that's
we've
another
seen,
big conversion tool.
It's another big, and then the price of meats. I remember I used to go to this place with my friend Yvette, and steak was $20. Well, shortly after Biden's election, it went to $30.
Mm-hmm.
It went from 20 to 30. That's a huge jump. Same steak, okay, a third higher. I mean, so the Democrats are going to try and run on Roe v. Wade. They just won a special election in Alaska where Sarah Palin lost.
Yeah.
So do you think they can get some traction from it?
I mean, the whole thing is, we're currently working on lawsuits to try and put an end to the machines. I don't think that with machines there's any way we can stop it. That's my honest opinion.
Wow.
You know, it's horrifying, and that's why we're engaging in so much lawfare. That's why we're putting out, you know, spoliation letters on the evidence from 2020. That's why we're filing lawsuits and looking for TROs to stop the use of the machines. We've already gotten them in a few states. You know, we're still fighting to do this throughout all of the states.
So the question is, will the Republicans win the House in 2022?
I think we will if people actually come out and vote.
Yeah.
I think that we mess with their algorithms when we do that. I think that as long as everybody, you know, literally makes it to the polls, not just mail-in ballots, not just, you know, going to the early voting, because then they can plan for it.
Right.
You go the day of, and we can't have a turnout like we did for the primary.
Right.
We need to have all hands on deck. We need every single person who actually believes that we can fix something, that this country means it, something that it's worth it, to go out and vote. And they need to vote for Dan.
Yeah, they do. We got to get Dan Francis in Congress. No question about that. What do you think about the light voter turnout for the primaries?
It's heartbreaking.
mean-
It's heartbreaking. I mean, the fact that people have given up, that's what it seems like. It's, you know, they're not
Yeah.
taking an interest. They're like, well, you know, hey, the government's just going to select them for me anyway. Why do I need to go and vote?
Yeah, I mean, the Democratic turnout was much greater
Yeah, well, you know, hey,
than
they
the
have dead
Republican
people.
turnout. Right.
They can kind of do command performances there.
Yeah. But I mean, it is, and then again, like I said, this is such a blue area. We're just very fortunate that most of the state is red and that we could overturn that. But we have to win Congress. And that's why we need, like I said, we need to flip this seat red. We need Dan Francis to win so that we could make sure that come 2023, we have somebody other than Nancy Pelosi as head of our Congress.
Right. And so that Marjorie Taylor Greene will have some support with her
Right,
impeach Biden.
Oh, yeah, that'll be the first thing that happens.
Yeah, we need to make sure that, you know, the ones who are trying to fight have the support.
Yes. What do you think of the Senate races?
I don't even want to comment.
Okay. Because you got some interesting Senate races. You got the one in Pennsylvania, you got the one in Georgia.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not
and they're-
thrilled on them. I prefer not to.
yeah. Well, I mean,
with the House
I
one
think
right
we have
now.
a good chance to win the Congress. I think the Senate's going to be a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Much tougher road to hoe.
I think it will as well.
We don't seem to have the quality candidates in the Senate, or some of them. Were you surprised by some of the results in the primaries for this year?
Yeah, I was shocked. Well, actually, I was the most shocked with the school board one. I could not believe
Okay.
that Karen Brill won another term.
Okay, right.
I was seeing how, I mean, my son, he suffered through the stuff. He did not wear a mask his entire time. I sent him in with the Constitution, 9th and 10th Amendments highlighted.
Karen Brill had some nice flyers, though.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, lots of funding.
Right.
You know, my
Lots of
campaign
funding.
was different. I
That's
was
right.
completely grassroots.
You were.
I wouldn't take funds from any corporation, any nonprofit stuff, nothing like that. Won't go near any of that. It was just individual donors.
Right.
And that's it. Because I only wanted to be held accountable to the people.
Right.
Nobody else.
But it makes it really tough to get your message out.
It does. But
I
you know
mean-
what? I've gotten some exposure, so maybe next time.
Absolutely. No.
You know,
I
and
think
it-
you
it
did. I
keeps
think you
building.
did great. And I think you're a great person. I think you have some great ideas, and I think you're a real fighter.
I am.
You know, and that's what's important. That's what we need.
I'm hoping that
And-
when Dan gets to Congress, he'll help me out because I still want to do that podcast of all the bills that come in. So if he can get a copy sent to me,
I'm sure
I'll
he
do
will.
that and say, look,
I'm
we
sure
need
he will.
transparency. This
Right,
and
exactly.
Dan's
No,
helping
it's
on
true.
this.
Yeah. No. That's listen. That's such an important race because
Yeah.
if we don't change Congress, it's over. Now, here's my take on it. If we do, I think Biden resigns.
I don't think he'll be here past the end of this year.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
And the reason I say that is I read the book on the laptop. The evidence
Yeah.
is so strong and overwhelming. They actually have, because it was on the computer.
I know. I've seen the actual.
You saw the computer?
Yes.
Okay,
I've
so-
seen the documents. I've seen how him and Obama were using a German email server to do things so that they wouldn't have the NSA seeing their emails.
Right.
I've seen all of that. I've seen the documents where it's, you know, talking about the cuts. I've seen I've seen all the documents. You can go on a website that's called lookingglass.com.
Okay.
And,
Lookingglass.com. Okay.
It's with 2 zeros instead of O's. For
Oh,
the,
okay.
For the Looking Glass. And you can go into any of the articles that Tori Maris has written.
Okay.
Tori says. And she has the passcodes for lookingglass.com in the articles. So you actually have to read the articles.
Got it.
And then you
Okay.
can see all the documents from the laptop. You can see the email chains. You can see everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's then safe to say that would mean he would be impeached.
Oh, yeah. It would be impeached. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 1 impeached and likely put in prison.
Yeah.
But it's not just him who would get impeached. It would also be 44, Obama.
It would probably bring down the Democratic Party.
It would. And that's why we're now on the campaign of impeach 44.
Because that would be a very public hearing in the Senate. And even if they don't convict, because the Democratic senators will not vote to impeach, no matter what, I don't think. I mean,
It still would destroy them. Their reputation
exactly,
is gone.
because the evidence is there.
I mean, I keep putting out articles that Tori's written on my campaign page and on my regular Facebook page, and I'm hoping people read and dig.
Right,
Because
exactly.
I don't want to just spoon feed, here's the documents, because
Right.
if you don't read, you don't understand what they're concerning.
Right. And those Chinese companies, I mean, having partnerships with the Chinese, I think it's very problematic.
It is. It's national security issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of national security issues with Biden. Nobody seems to get that. I mean, who do you think was actually buying Hunter's artwork?
Right.
I mean, that should have been a signal for people. Hello, there's some favors being exchanged. Brand new artist. Yes, it's the president's son, but the art kind of looks like crap. Who's paying $500,000 for it?
It's a Hunter Biden original.
Yeah, okay.
And all those Saudi sheiks have to have one in their house.
I guess so. It's probably in their garage or something, but
Because
you know,
he doubled the standard of living for Saudi Arabia
I know.
single-handedly, which is very nice of him. To
but
do
they
that.
won't release the names of who purchased.
Right.
You know, it could be China. It could be Ukraine. We don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We live in truly crazy times, treacherous times, terrible times from that standpoint. We certainly do. But we have to bring back righteousness to this country. We have to bring back God. We have to bring back morality, and we have to bring back right and wrong, because right and wrong has now got perverted.
Our Pledge of Allegiance says that we are one nation under God.
Under God, right? We forgot who God is,
and that we're indivisible,
Right.
because of that.
Right.
I mean, we have lost our First Amendment's a joke right now. Freedom of the press. The White House is telling people, telling Twitter who to kick off. Alex Berenson, a journalist, gets thrown off of Twitter because they don't like what he's saying. Okay, how many of us have been shut down off of Facebook? And all this is coming from directives from the White House to the companies? These are no longer private companies, they're government entities.
Right. Well, the Second Amendment, after that Supreme Court ruling on the Second Amendment in New York saying you need to, they went out and said you can't carry here, you can't carry there. They have big bull signs in New York City saying you can't carry even if you're permit.
New York now has come out with something from their, I believe their police department put out, but this came from up above, that you are carrying illegally unless proven otherwise.
Yeah, right.
So even if you have a concealed carry permit, technically you're not allowed to carry until you prove that you have it.
That's going to be going to the Supreme Court.
I'd like to
again.
see them say, look, you can't vote until you prove that you're registered.
Right.
And that you're alive and breathing.
That's crazy.
And physically, live in that state.
Anytime there's a gun-free zone, that's where all the murders happen.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Oh, yeah.
That's where the criminals go.
Oh, yeah. Because the thing is, they're not the ones that are being targeted. They're trying to target the everyday citizen, because we're extremists, because we don't do the woke speak.
New York City has really gone downhill quite a bit since Mayor Giuliani was mayor.
I know.
I used to go there every year with one of my friends from college, and
I
it was
used to
a
live
tremendous
there.
time. Yeah.
I love Giuliani. He was
Yeah.
my favorite mayor.
Yeah, he was. He did a great job. He was America's mayor. Well, we have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
What would you like to say to our audience here at the Political Power Hour?
Vote.
Thank you.
And vote for Dan.
Yes. Yeah, we need Dan Francis to win. We got to turn Congress red. We need Republicans in office. And Carrie, I appreciate what you did running for office. You weren't well funded, but you have a heart of gold.
Thank you.
And you have principles. And we need more people like you out there. And I hope you stay in politics. And if nothing else, if you can't run yourself, to support others.
Of course.
That are running, because it's very, very important. It's tough to win a congressional race. I went through it myself.
Dan was a class act.
He was a class
act.
Absolutely.
Never had anything bad to say about anybody.
Right.
Focused on what his message was.
Right.
I like Dan.
Right, I do too. And he ran a very classy campaign. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with that with Lois Franco, because she's a bit of a dog and she's going to go after him.
Well,
but let's see what happens.
The whole thing is with Dan, I think that he can do it. He needs to more focus on, she can try and go after her, but let him be Teflon.
Right.
Focus on the issues. Focus
Exactly.
on what's the truth. And what people need to hear is the truth, and that we are still fighting. We haven't given up.
Right. People have to choose between filling their car up with gasoline
Or feeding their family.
or feeding their family. And that's a problem. You know, that's a definite problem. I mean, well, listen, it was another great show today. And, you know, I so appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you
You
for
know,
having
it
me.
was really, truly a pleasure to have you. And so we have to close out now. And I want to thank you all for watching the Political Power Hour with Mike Vilardi and our guest, Carrie Lawlor. Carrie, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Till next week, next Monday, we'll see you then.
If your family is suffering from inflation and high costs caused by Lois Frankel's reckless policies, Republican Dan Franzese is clearly your best choice for Congress. Dan is a successful businessman who understands finance and economics. He's not a politician. Dan grew up blue collar and knows how tough inflation is on working families. Dan Franzese will go to Washington and fight the liberals who are killing us with inflation. Dan Franzese for Congress.
I'm Dan Franzese, and I approve this message.
Text alert! Text alert!
I was receiving letter after letter from the IRS.
I got Mike Vilardi on the phone and I said, Mike, I got a problem.
He took the pressure off my shoulders.
He just made me feel like I had Superman on my side.
Trust me, he's the man to go to.
IRS problems? I'm Mike Vilardi, enrolled agent. I can help. My company, Winning Tax Solutions, has always gotten our clients the best possible results. Visit us at winningtaxsolutions.com or call us today.
I grew up in a home where principles and values were very strong. We had the opportunity to gather 1.5 million people to stand up and be the voice for our children. As an American, I will be your new voice, and I will stand up for the integrity of our children. This November 8th, vote for me, Dorcas Hernandez, running for State Representative District 92.
Thank you for watching the Political Power Hour with your host, Michael Vilardi. If you would like to see a particular candidate on our show, please email us at michaelvilardi@gmail.com. That's one L in Vilardi. We will see you next week.